Hi everyone. Today we're looking at a cartoon-shaped image of what is normally on the stones. You can see the black eye there in the portrait in yellow. This is just like cave art. You may see a smaller face down here. So it's ancient art, very old. They don't look like the faces that we might draw today. But if you look closely at them, it might just look like a weird rock to you guys, and I understand that, but this is actually an ancient art piece. What we found through studying this art is that there's a complicated, multifaceted style that goes unrecognized by us until we study it for several weeks. After we learn about it and we study it, we can see that this art is actually all over the world. And it just is a really neat testament to how long human beings have been here roaming around. So I'm really glad you guys were able to join me for this one. We're going to go ahead and take a look at a few of these together. And this one's a very complicated one. It's my theory that they carried these around for a long period of time. I believe I see a mammoth here. You can see how the eye carving is done right there, and maybe a trunk. But there's also human images as well. So not just on the outside of the stone, but on the interior as well. You'll start to notice that there's little men. See the little eye carving inside of there, and the little nose, and there's a little tiny mouth there. You'll see a small ripple, and you may see a row. See how it's like a saw blade right there? See the cheekbone? Just a little figure in there with a large hat on. Some of them are easier to see than others, so it takes a little while. But you can see how where the eye carving, or where the eye would be for a totem fella here, you can see that eye in there. And you may see some ghost images if you're just looking at the color. Looking at the round black, see this black diamond with the color inside of it? Look at that as an eye. And then as we tilt the stone, you may be able to see a human image pop out. All right, let's take a look at this one that was right next to it. If I can find it again. Oh, I can't because I moved. Well, it's back there. I'll go ahead and grab it because it's a very similar one to that. But we also have another really neat gateway here that we can take a look at too. So what's neat about this site is that everything is fresh. All the paint is still existing on everything just like it normally would. You know, back in ancient times, because everything was packed in clay. And all this stuff was recently washed out. And that's why I think I've gotten a hint to this art. There's a chance that, you know, all this stuff getting washed out over a long period of time could you know, damage it and wear it out to where we wouldn't be able to figure it out. Because I tell you, I went down to Texas and they have the same kind of stone art, but I would not be able to prove it out there. I would not. There's just no, it's so vague and such its own thing. I see all these little ghostly human images on here. This is fantastic, this piece. As we tilt it, we're going to see these juts and things turn into human images, but we're gonna have to tilt it a little bit for that. I'm not seeing them come out just yet. I'm seeing a large something, maybe a big bird head. Is that what this is? Most of these are giant bird heads on the outside for like the main outside image. So oftentimes this art has main outside images, and that's oftentimes what we're able to see because the art gets so deep. And they are like history books. All the animals that are on here are really interesting. How we found the mammoth and the alligator heads, and now we have a baboon, or a, looks like a gorilla. There's a really interesting painting, perhaps a flying, I know it's a painting, but I don't know what it is, of a flying something. I don't know, I can't tell. There's definitely some beautiful art on this. It's so many things. So you may just be able to see in the stone there, little carvings of humans. Let's go ahead and look at it like this. We see a big bird head here with a recessed beak. And I want to show you that beak, how the beak is really curved, and how this is, you know, a diamond shape like a bird head. It's just a giant fat bird head with this recessed beak, as I always say in my videos, guys. And you can even see the little ripples on it and things, and the beautiful black eye. It's going to be a bird head in all directions, and flipping it over and in different ways it'll be also a bird head. So this is a good teaching one. So here we have more of like a cardinal or a J with the beak this way, looking at the paint colors and comparing it to a bird head that you know. Here we have something with a crest. Sorry for bouncing the camera around, but you can see how the eye is a circle and it has little ridges on it and things. See the circle there and how the little lines are coming out of it? So we have this little mohawk thing going on here. And there's beautiful. Once you guys are able to see the art, which I think this is going to help you to do that, once you guys are able to, you'll see that this is a really fantastic masterpiece. This one here. So facing to the right, you can see the little blob right there and how the lines come up and how that little, so maybe it's a different one of those little tiny beak birds, finches, and it's probably a chicken some way. Normally there's a chicken in here. But it's a really nice piece. Now that we've kind of learned it a little bit, learned the style of it from that side, we can come back to this side and see what we can perhaps find. Looking on the edges for the human characters, human faces. Very interesting piece. So on the ends of the artifacts, there's always going to be a whole nother world. And we can see little recessed faces here. So we're looking at the edge here and we can see a character. He's not very defined, but if you take that edge out and look into the interior of the stone, you can see how now there is a pretty good eye, a nose, and the mouth there of another character. And you can see how the stone is colored and layered. And so, believe it or not, on every one of these edges, there's going to be other human faces that are on these. That's why they're kind of lined up like this. And if you want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit, we can tilt it. And this is how the art is complex. It's how they put many images on one, is you tilt the stone to look at the different images that are on it. So, maybe able to see some of the other human characters pop out now. Before TVs and before books, this is how they recorded their history. As a migratory people, they couldn't carry around 16, 17 different statues to remember their past and their history. So they carried around these. You know, they put 16 or 17 different images on one stone. In reality, it's much more than that, but it's like learning a language, and that's what a lot of us here are trying to teach, so that you guys can know it and you can take over, because it's a lot of work to try to get this noticed, and it's really a pain that archaeologists could lose their job if they say, yeah, this is something. I think that's kind of silly, so we need to fix that. I mean, I know you guys are watching. I get emails from y'all. Gotta do something. So there are a few beautiful gateways here. You can see how the human images are popping out on the left. Of course, his eye, there's a few of them, but the eye, the nose, and the mouth of this character here. There's another little carving for an eye there as we tilt it. We got a big bulbous head. If you look at the whole thing as a face, see a bunch of them pop out. See this gnarly triangle right here? It's really cool. City rock hounding, if you're watching, let me know if you can see that. Might have too much light now. I can't see my screen. Okay, here's a great right side profile you guys can see. Trying to see my screen, having a little trouble. I'm in too much light. But I know this looks good in the light. There we go. Interesting one. So our little bird up here, you can see if you look at the head, the little tiny beak coming out and the little carving for the eye. It's a pretty color. So we'll be set up for left side profiles in this way. So this will be an image here of the lady with the big tall hair. You can see the paint, perhaps. It's a nice one. Nice. So you see how the eyes are done in a row? So how you can tilt it down, you see how I was just doing it, and then keep on creating more and more little faces here. You can really see the carvings for the eyes, how they're all in a row like that. All the way to the end. It's a beautiful one. You can see how it might be mom and daughter right behind her. And then as we tilt it further, we get another image of another person. Little bird head coming out. Person there. See him? How do you read a story stone? I don't know. It's a good question. I think it's something like that, but ask me to tell you the story, it's beyond me. I just know that what's going on here is pretty cool. And I know that we're about to pass 2,000 subscribers, and that's really cool. So, more than likely we're seeing the weird crested bird on the very top here. Tiny little recessed beak. Looking for mammoth on the other side there. So right on the end here, we're gonna have a human portrait, just because of the shape of it. Big old man face. This is an old one. You can see the green slime on it. Well, it's actually just, all of these are really old. It's just this one has been exposed. And like all gateways, this one on the other side is completely black or opaque, just like every single crystal one. Most of them are just like these little blades and kind of odd ones. There's things that continue on with every single one though, such as the ends always have bird heads on them. There's a nice little chicken one. So this is a classy, kind of like a raven head one, and then on the back of it here, it's going to be the full bird, so you can see how the cutout in the beak. So you, just like everyone kind of knows, you got the full bird head on one side. It was probably better when it was dry, sorry. But you have the full bird head on one side, and then on the other side you have the full bird. And yes, I did go full bird. So there's little bird effigies here, all over the place, every single stone. That's why there's all these crystals and different stones from all over the place here. You wouldn't believe it that they even carved the bedrock. All that stuff right there is carving. It's not water erosion, friends. Water erosion doesn't make X's and hashes, and it's just doesn't do that. No. It's really cool. Talk about incised stones. Well, giant head statues just laying in your woods. What would you guys do? Would you guys do what I did and kind of dedicate a big portion of your life to trying to share this, and especially if the archaeologist told you it was nothing? Would you do the same? I don't know if I'm crazy sometimes for trying this, or I don't know. Another gateway. Painted quartz is the gateway. It's the one that's black on all of one side. It's got a hole right there in the middle of it. It's a complicated one. You can see how the image to the right with the nose, kind of a big nose, big chin, but more human-like. So the big nose, big chin, believe it or not, is actually, that's a great mammoth, is a hominid. So you can see how the trunk is black on this mammoth. It's a really great one. There's also going to be a human on the very top of it. But as we tilt it like this, you can see the legs of the mammoth and everything. There's a little bird head here. See the diamond. Well, this is a fancy one. I knew it was fancy because I saw the shape of it. Oh yeah. So these flat ones are oftentimes really nice because you can see the reflections. And as you tilt it, you can see how it resembles a face there in the white. If you're looking at the white, and there's a little eye in the top. Eye would be high, I guess, in comparison to the way that we would put it today, like in a photograph. Maybe I should get like a neck mount so I can point. There's a beautiful bird. So you guys can see the beak and the top of the head crest, the eye right up there. See the eye? And then this is the beak. There's two birds stacked, but sorry for not being able to get it in the light there. You might see one of two bird heads. And then there's also, on the very end of it, there's going to be a wild human. You see all the birds? People of the bird, for sure. Looking at that row of eyes there, see in the white section? Cool. Beautiful one. So to the right, it's probably going to be a bird head. Oh, very nice one. Still getting a little heavy though. Let's go ahead and put her back down. So, any rock. What is this? What is this? Holy moly. Look at this thing. So there are dolphins and things. Let's just take a look at this real quick before we make any assumptions. Yeah, have you ever been anywhere where your stones have big markings and lines like this? Is that what you guys normally see? No, you don't. Oh, wow. This is a big, huge tablet with interior images of human beings. The eye. Let's see if I can see it right. Oh, geez, there's so many. So the characters that I'm looking at right now is this half moon shape with this open thing and this eye. I'm looking at these stripes. I'm looking at the two dots right here. See these stripes. I'm looking at this human image right here with the eye, the nose, and the mouth. I'm looking at stripe here. There's so much going on here, so it's hard to depict. But Do you guys see how this is a huge tablet of significance to somebody? Oh my gosh. I wonder if on the top it's a gator, because I've found so many gators. Like a gator head. How does this one work? This one's wild. Oh wow. Pretty cool one. We'll leave that one up. So yeah, every single stone is an adventure. Every single one. I'll stick to some easy ones real quick. Show you this bird. Oh, that's just bark. Could be a bark bird. We found lots of bark birds, and that is probably one, especially if it's charred. Here's a piece of clay, a red one. Anyway. Or no, it just has a leaf on it. Okay. That's 2 for 2. There's a gateway. A little complicated. There's another gateway over here. But before I go over there, I guess, take a look at the carvings on that stone. See the triangle with this little spot in the middle of it? You'll notice carvings on all of these stones. There's little human characters here. You can see the little spot for the eye, the nose, and the mouth, the hair. Little humanid character. Probably a bird lady. So they had animalmorphic characters, right? With humans that were birds. There's a little portrait facing down here. This being the neck, that being the chin. A lot of them are shaped like bird heads. And who knows, just after chiseling rocks for so long, maybe that just happened. You know, they kind of got used to making one size tool, like make this bird head, and it was that tool, you know. Here we have a beautiful left side portrait. You can see how in the paint, whenever I tilt it correct, you can see the small little indentation for the lips and the eye, the way the eye is done there. Beautiful stone. This is another gateway piece. So looking at the color in the stone, and to the right, you're looking at the high details there. Just take a look at the right side portraits. I'm going to go ahead and try to point them out for us. Just right there at the end, starting off with the smooth section of the stone, there's going to be a small little portrait in there. And let's go ahead and get a good look at that, and that'll help us get ready for the rest of these. You can see how on the top of there, how everything's kind of lining up. See the very top paint, see how there's kind of like replications. So there's going to be lots of painted in images here. This is a very high level stone. I'm not going to be able to do it too much justice. But you guys are able to see these human portraits here facing to the left. Isn't that a weird style of art where you tilt it, you see how the rest of it's hair, and just in the yellow section is the face. So you tilt the stone to create that image. It's not going to come out unless you tilt it. I can go ahead and get the rest of her wet there so you can see the rest of the paint, perhaps a little better. So whenever you're able to see the art, it actually comes out to be better than a photograph. That's what's really neat about it, is it's a learned style, and things get better, or it waxes and wanes, the skill. And sometimes you can see different things than other people. So you see how there's other images in here too, looking just at the small section here at the bottom. And the other side again is all opaque, just like all the gateways are. all these painted crystals. These are white crystal. When you cut them, they're all white crystal. I know you might not be able to see it, but there's a bird here on the left there. Recessed beak again. This one is a really great one, guys, and I think it's a good one to stop on. We went through a lot today, and I'm getting a little tired, so before I say something silly, I'm just going to go ahead and call it a day. Have a great one, and check out your creeks and rivers and stuff. Tell me if your creek beds have all this on them. All right, y'all. See you next time. Bye-bye.